Hey everybody, welcome to No Jumper News. It's Adam22 here with my co-host AD. Let's get right into these stories. So we've got a whole bunch of crazy stories we got to talk about today. Joe Budden had some words for DJ Vlad after DJ Vlad discussed the nature of their beef on the No Jumper podcast. And we got to talk about the fact that Pop Smoke's album is officially out. Let's get right into this. Okay, so when Vlad came on the podcast, he talked about how the root of their beef was over 10 years old and how it all started because of a beef that Joe Budden had with another rapper, Ransom. You can go watch that if you want. But Vlad also took time to point out that he recently ran into Joe Budden in the strip club and he was with security, and he said that Joe Budden just walked right past him and allegedly didn't want any smoke. So fast forward, Joe Budden saw Vlad's No Jumper interview and he made a response on his podcast discussing the entire controversy on the latest episode. Joe goes into detail about the many reasons that he does not like Vlad, but he concluded with saying that there is no beef and he wished Vlad the best. Check out this clip right here.
And that's it, Vlad. Listen, no hard feelings. I wish you the best in whatever it is that you're doing. But one, we do not do the same thing. And two, our characters are just built really differently. And I like to stay around niggas who, you know what I mean? Our characters have a little bit more in common. That's all.
You know, it's a weird feeling when you realize that two people that you're friends with, that you respect, have this sort of relationship where one person, Vlad, is, you know, potentially down to be cool with Joe Budden. And then Joe Budden's attitude on the situation is basically like, I don't like you. I don't respect you. You've done things in the past that I can't forgive. So it's up with you. Like, he just doesn't want anything to do with him.
I mean, I seen what Joe Budden said, though. And he said, I don't have no beef with you. We both rich. I don't have no problem. He just, as a character reference, him as a character, he says he doesn't like him. He doesn't like what he stands for. And I respect that. You don't have to be somebody's friend. You don't have to like them. You know, just stay out of each other's way.
That's true. It's kind of unfortunate, though, because so much of their beef goes back to the early days of the internet where Vlad was like academics before there was academics, in the sense that he was the dude in New York who was going to post up a fight video or whatever. And so him posting that video of this guy going to Joe Budden's friend's house and punching him in the face. I mean, this happened, I think, in 2008. Like, this happened at a time where the rules of engagement in terms of like posting stuff on the internet just hadn't really been figured out. And I mean, to be honest, that video, if that situation had happened right now, it would be on academics, it would be on Vlad, it would probably be on No Jumper, it would be all over the place. But I feel like Joe Budden was particularly hurt by Vlad posting that because it was so early on that the rules hadn't really been set in place. Like, I feel like if this exact same situation happened now, Joe Budden would be 0% surprised that Vlad would post it. He wouldn't hold it against me for posting it, etc. Because we all recognize now that this user-generated hood content is, you know, it's just gonna come out. It's gonna end up on the internet one way or another.
It's true.
But, you know, Vlad put it out there in the sense of like, this is the root of our beef, but I want to move past it. And then Joe Budden's response was very much like, I'm not down to move past it. Like, I'm not down to try to make things
He's just cool.
better.
He just said he don't want to be friends with him. That's cool.
Yeah, even Vlad mentioned, he said that this was actually the most respectful version of their beef that he's heard from Joe Budden, because in the past, Joe Budden was much more likely to just fire on him and just say, you know, I really hate that dude, rah, rah, rah. But I guess he handled it a little bit more grown up this way, at least from Vlad's perspective.
I agree. Next story. After a delay, Pop Smoke's posthumous LP, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, was released on 4th of July weekend. It's a bittersweet moment because there's a sentiment that hits different when listening to his music now that he's gone. Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon is 19 tracks long, including the bonus track, Dior. The album features appearances from artists such as Quavo, Karol G, Tyga, Lil Baby, 50 Cent, The Baby, Future, and more. And Roddy Ricch. They didn't put him on there, Compton. The album comes 5 months after Pop Smoke was shot and killed at Los Angeles resident earlier this year. Back in March, 50 Cent announced his plans to executive produce and finish Smoke's album in time for the summer. Steven Victor, CEO of Victor Worldwide, which Pop Smoke had been signed to, shared how 50 pushed him to release the project after Pop's death.
And he was like, yo, I get how you feeling, but you can't be, he was like, you can't be selfish. And I was like, be selfish? I was like, what do you mean be selfish? He was like, yo, you gotta get out of this feeling that you're in, you know what I'm saying? You can't be like depressed and stop the legacy that he was building, number one. I was like, he was like, you have to do the opposite. You got to go towards it. You know what I'm saying? You got to finish the album. And then on top of that, he was like, how do you expect like everyone around him in terms of his family to benefit off of all the work that he put in. It's like it'll almost be like everything happened in vain if you don't put the album out.
Fabio Foreign and other Brooklyn drill artists expected to be present were notably absent from the album. Cowboy took to Twitter to express his frustrations over his verse getting removed from the album writing. On the Wesley grave, y'all bogus as fuck for taking me off Pop Smoke album, but then keep my fucking ad-libs. 2 days before my boy passed away, we was planning a video with me and Combs in it. How y'all play it like that? I don't respect that shit at all. Pop Smoke out now. The album is expected to hit #1. Good job, man. Expected to sell 200,000 copies his first week.
Okay, I've been listening to the Pop Smoke album. I'm gonna be honest. It sounds like a lot of experimentation. It sounds like a lot of stuff.
I disagree.
What do you mean?
I disagree.
How could you think that?
It's
nothing like his prior work.
Man, it's a banger albums at the end of the day.
Banger, but
bangers.
What, you really thought this was a banger album? You really liked it that much?
What you mean? I love it. I swear. I'm not even just saying that because that's the homie being biased and nothing like that. Like, if you go to the clubs, if you moving when you driving at the end of the day, you keep hearing it. It's banging. All the parties I went to this weekend, I heard Pop Smoke new album.
Maybe it'll grow on me, but for me, it was very different because, okay, there's very few songs on this that sound anything like his prior work. It sounds very much like he was really experimenting with trying to become more of a pop star and do more sung hooks. You don't hear that when you listen to it. There's blatant pop attempted bangers on it, and there was nothing like that on his prior work. There are pop songs on it. There's songs that are insanely poppy that sound like they were made for the radio. They have Tyga on them. You don't put Tyga on a song unless you want it to be a hit.
Wait a minute. Tyga got blessings from Pop Smoke before Pop Smoke died.
We saw the DMs, but I'm saying the song that they make together, like, you don't get with Tyga to do a hood song. You get with Tyga to do a banger, a pop song that's gonna blast all over the radio.
That's not a pop song. It's more R&B-ish. It's more melodic.
Okay, but R&B, pop, whatever.
No, you just think R&B is
compared to Pop Smoke's prior work that was all straight drill music,
and it just shows the different dynamics in what he was doing.
But see, this is the thing: is that he was working on, like, these are basically
the song he got with Roddy and 50,
right?
Fire.
Not for me. Not huge on that one.
To me, that's the best one.
For me, it's all right. That one's cool. But for me, the thing
is
that
Quavo,
Pop Smoke was working on doing new things. So he has all these songs that I feel like a fair amount of these songs might have never seen the light of day.
No.
He was at an experimental stage in his career where he was trying to advance past the drill music.
I don't agree.
You don't agree that this album is different than his prior albums?
No, it is different.
Yes, it was him working on new styles and trying new things.
That's not trying, because I feel that he's mastered it on his album.
Mastered it?
Listen, you don't go to the parties and the clubs like I do. When you hear that stuff come on, people have been dancing to this all weekend. I promise you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doubting that
it
people
was like
are dancing to it.
4 or 5 parties this weekend, and every last one of them played at least
I
5 or 6
can't believe that you would try to
songs.
deny that he's trying to do something different on this album. But keep in mind, again, this is not an album that he put together. He did not decide this track list. This is not an album that was so close to completion that it was just going to come out like this.
Most of the songs are recorded, right?
They were recorded. But this is everybody on his team taking the stuff that he had and putting it together and trying to make a final package out of it. With the woo. You said you? Woo?
We want to fuck with the woo.
All right, yeah, but this was him working on new stuff, trying to do different stuff, because this is the first project that Pop Smoke has made as a famous person. Like, this is all stuff that he was doing as an actual star, whereas all his prior work was pretty much him still in Brooklyn. It is a little weird for me to hear what feels like it could have been a different project if he had been able to complete it on his own terms.
I love it.
He didn't get a chance to complete it on his own terms, and I feel like I don't know. I mean, it's good, all things considered, because I've definitely heard, really bad albums from people who passed away.
You just don't like R&B sounding stuff, and I've noticed that about you.
Is that really like the thing that you get from this album, is that it's an R&B sounding album?
No.
It's just a smoothed out album where he tried to experiment more with melody.
Melodic stuff you don't care for. So that's maybe why you say that.
That's not always true, though. I love Polo G. I love Juice WRLD. There's so much melodic stuff I like to listen to.
You didn't call Polo G melodic until I said that last time.
Anyone who would listen to Polo G and not call it melodic, could you imagine anyone listening to the Polo G album and not calling it melodic? You got to listen to it for about 15 seconds. Told me?
I told you.
You think that you needed to tell me that the Polo G album was melodic?
Because you said you don't like R&B, and I said some of what Polo G does is considered R&B because it's melodic. Same as A Boogie. Same as Pop Smoke.
I don't listen to
album.
the Polo G album and feel like it ever sounds like R&B because it sounds too much like just melodic rap.
What's that song he got? My favorite song on Polo G album is It's like the Gina song. It's like the Martin
and Gina, right?
That song is fire, but that's
Right.
like melodic.
But it doesn't
That's
sound like
R&B.
an R&B song as we think of R&B.
Man, listen, you play
And
that.
this Pop Smoke album doesn't sound like an
You wanna
R&B
fuck with
album
the
either.
woo.
That's one hook.
No, I didn't say that it sounds R&B. I said there are more melodic tones to the album.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
But this is what I'm saying is that he was at an experimental stage where he was messing around with all these things for the
I
first
don't
time.
think he's messing around. That's just part of the culture.
He was messing around with it with new styles.
Just 'cause
why,
you heard-
why do you have to seize upon me saying messing around and act like I'm
No,
saying he was
just-
messing around?
okay.
He was trying new
me
things.
ask you this.
And then now with this album,
No,
we
no,
get
no,
to
no,
see those
no,
new
no,
things
no.
in an unfinished
How many
state.
before this album came out? How many Pop Smoke songs were you familiar with?
All of them?
I know, but you probably listened to one project, right?
No, 2 or 3 or like I've heard every single Pop Smoke song that he put out prior to this album many times.
Okay, this to me sounds like a debut album. You want some singles that's going to hit the charts at the end of the day.
This to me sounds like a guy working on his debut album who had his life tragically cut short, and then the label and his managers had to take the stuff that he had recorded so far and put an album together.
I love
from
it. The females like it. I didn't heard it all weekend. I'm rocking with it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hate on it
No,
at
I know
all.
you're not.
I'm just saying that to me, it really makes me wonder what this project would have sounded like if he had the time that he deserved and he needed to actually flesh it all out.
I agree.
And I would also like to say that Fabio Foreign, Cowboy, etc. I would have really liked to have seen those features stay on the project.
Fabio
Yeah,
on there for sure.
that's pretty upsetting to me. I don't think like if you have a guy like, can you imagine that you do a song with Pop Smoke and you're a younger artist like Cowboy, and then they put the song on the album and like that's a song that you've made together. It's not like you were some feature that they called in. And then they leave your ad libs on and they take your verse off.
I'll be hot.
That to me is just disrespectful, and I don't appreciate that.
Hey man, rest in peace to my local Pop Smoke.
Rest in peace, Pop Smoke.
Shout out to all my woos. What's up?
There you go. Thank you very, very much to everybody who watched this. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow AD on Instagram and Twitter, and follow myself. No Jumper. We out.